Welcome to the show. I am joined today by the Prince of Pittsburgh, Cole Macek. Cole, welcome onto the program.
Hey, glad to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to have you on the show. You go ahead and watch the road as you drive, and we'll just look at you. Don't worry about looking at us as we do this interview. But I'm excited to have you on the show. You're an undefeated amateur fighter. Obviously 3-0, all stoppages, and all of your stoppages have been submissions. So let's jump in there before we look at the fight coming up in a couple weeks. Let's start with your submissions. What is it that's leading you to these submissions? Obviously, you're probably a BJJ guy. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I wrestled since I was out of the womb pretty much. I grew up, I wanted to my idol was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I started wrestling at a really young age, man, and so that the grappling background has been, ever since I grew up, I was grappling. Played football in college, and then once I got done playing football, I kind of got back into it. And as a wrestler, and I trained at the Mat Factory and whatnot. As a wrestler, those submissions are, especially when there's no ground and pound involved.
Mm-hmm.
The submissions are really, kind of where your bread and butter is with those first 3 fights with no ground and pound, because you take somebody down, and with gloves on, hitting to the body only can hurt so much. So you really look for those top submissions, and that's kind of where I, made my money in my first 3 fights, two Americanas, and then my last one, I think, was a arm triangle. But yeah, that's kind of where I've had a lot of success in my first 3 fights. And moving forward, we'll see. I've got a lot of other tools in the arsenal that I haven't really brought out yet.
Absolutely. Well, you gave us a little insight, which is always important when you're talking amateur and novice rules, that there's no ground and pound. So it sounds like you were using those submissions to get that finish, because getting finishes in fights is important. And so now that this fight coming up against David Rice, he's 4-1, you're 3-0. So that should put it at advanced amateur rules. What does that look like for you coming into your first advanced amateur rule fight?
I gotta be in shape, man. I've been working my butt off, just making sure that my cardio is good. Those 2 minute rounds are, they fly by. But you can gas yourself out pretty quick if you don't pace yourself. Being a wrestler, the 3 2-minute rounds is kind of where that's where you're at, and then now we're kind of moving up into the 3 3-minute rounds. So cardio definitely being one of the main factors. And then you obviously throwing the ground and pound and the no shin guards. I still train the same way. I train hard. I train fast. I train like, I'm fighting the UFC champion. It doesn't matter who I fight. My training doesn't really change. It's always hard. And I just got to make sure that I'm in good shape, and this should be a fun one, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I brought up your opponent's record not to say that he's special or in some way different or anything like that, just to say that for a Pittsburgh-based promotion, 247 Fighting Championships, which has been only around a short period of time, but have done a great job getting people to the UFC and Bellator, and really being a high-level professional promotion, it also is developing a lot of amateur talent. And I think you, with your fight nickname, obviously being from Pittsburgh, I think it really shows a lot to Jim Mooney, the matchmaker, putting on a competitive fight. Both guys, both you and your opponent, are kind of at the top of what amateur provides. So what's it like to know that this is this is a high-level amateur fight you're coming into?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. He's 4-1. I'm sure he's a tough kid. Um, from what I understand, he's got a pretty good grappling background as well. So it's tough. It's a good matchup. Obviously, first and foremost, thanks to Jim and all those guys, Ryan, for putting on the show. I've been itching to get back into the cage and show off some of them. But hey, we're just getting started, So I mean, I love doing this stuff. I love fighting. I'm a nice guy, but when I'm in the cage, man, there's a different side that comes out of me, and I love every second of it. So, it's just one more step in the right direction. But after those first 3 fights, every fight's going to be a big fight from here to the end of my career, and I'm going to be, given big challenges, across from me, and I better start getting used to it, because that's the goal at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the right attitude to have. You talked about playing football in college. What was your position in what college?
I played running back for Army. So I was there from 2014 to 2017. Played fullback. Well, we were in a triple option, so it was like fullback / running back, because I got the ball a lot. But I was a big boy. I was about 240 pounds.
Wow.
I was a load, man. So now I've obviously trimmed back quite a bit, but
Right.
yeah, it was a good time, man. I was, I had some offers to wrestle in college, and obviously decided to go the football route. Um, both, it could have went either way. I loved wrestling. I loved playing football, but I had the opportunity to play at a high level, a Division I football team, and being in the military obviously taught me a lot. A lot of qualities that I use in my MMA training, as far as staying disciplined, and when you're at one of the most prestigious schools in the world, on top of being in the military and playing Division I football, you got to be disciplined, self-disciplined, work hard, up early.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
you might not have much sleep. So with me doing that, and then, my job on top of that, being a real estate agent, I'm busy. I'm busy all the time. I just got done with a real estate appointment. I was meeting some clients out. Now I'm going to training here shortly. So, it's helped me out. It really has. But this MMA stuff is, it's obviously a little different, but you take qualities that you learn doing one thing and you transfer it over to the other.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize you had gone to Army. That's a wonderful thing. Did you take a commission and do the 6-year officer route after Army? Because that's kind of one of the things they do from Army, right?
Right. Yeah. So I ended up getting hurt playing football, and I decided that I wanted to kind of do different things in my life and go in a different direction. So after I went to a prep school, I went to the Army prep school, and then I went freshman, sophomore year, I played. And then after they did the affirmation, I opted out of that. So then I transferred schools, finished my degree. And that's kind of when I got into MMA, was when I
Okay.
was done playing football. I was 240 pounds. I was strong as shit, but I mean, my body was just breaking down.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it much longer. And so I started doing MMA, kickboxing a little bit, but getting back into wrestling, stretching. And,
Sure.
I feel great now. I feel, much better than I did before.
Well, it's good to hear that your body's doing better and that you found something that works for you. You're now fighting at 185, so obviously you've trimmed down, but I think it can only come from somebody who's played Division I football and been in the military academy to say that, to give your body a break, you took up MMA. I mean, that takes a special type of person to think that MMA is a break on his body. So I think that says something about you as a compliment. But I think that comes from the mindset of D1 football, and also the Army Academy. You're constantly doing other training things in addition to football. So I'm sure that also contributed to the wear and tear on your body, which it's pretty great. How hard was it to get to the position you are now? I've seen photos. You fight muscle, but also lean. You're kind of that mix of a guy that has a lot of muscle on a 185-pound body. So what was it like finding that? Did you think about fighting at 205, or did you fight at 205 or heavyweight prior to 85? And do you think 85 is your ideal weight?
85 is my ideal weight. I might get down to 70 eventually. I mean, I've just, like, you should see my parents. They both are in better shape than me, and they're in their 50s. So They used to do competitive bodybuilding back before I was born.
Mm.
So, I'm obviously blessed with good genetics, but at the same time, after playing football and, forcing myself to eat 5,000 calories a day, I
Mm.
started really watching what I eat. I have a nutritionist, I put good stuff into my body. I work out super hard for MMA, and, gradually just the weight came off of me. I don't really lift too much weights anymore. If I did, I'd probably be a 205 fighter, but I do a lot of body weight stuff. I train very hard, and gradually over the last 3-4 years, I think that I've naturally got down to, like, I walk around at probably about 196, 197 now. So if I can get that down to 190, once I go pro and make it to Bellator, UFC, I think I might even consider going down to 170, but we'll see how the body reacts. I mean, I feel good at 185 right now.
Absolutely. And I think it's being wise to fight where your body feels good. Obviously, down the road, if you're talking about UFC or Bellator at that level, then making a bigger decision or making a bigger cut can sometimes make sense. Although at 85, we've seen former champion Robert Whitaker, who was always fighting at 70, bump up to 85, and he wasn't like a big guy. He's not like an Anthony Rumble Johnson that you have no idea how I ever fought at 70. So I think it also shows that there's advantages to fighting where you feel good, which obviously sounds good. Now, given all of your athletic abilities, your parents' genes, and hats off to them, obviously raising you to love sports and being athletic and taking care of your body and all that. What's something that, and you've obviously learned a lot about yourself being in the academy. The Army Academy is a crazy mindset to be in. But what has MMA been teaching you as an athlete and as a person, as far as learning it and performing it and training it?
I mean, it's definitely the toughest. I think, as far as, you play in Division I. And you have this a lot of times, but there's nobody telling you that you have to go to jiu-jitsu practice. There's nobody's telling you you got to go to kickboxing. You got to find a way to fit that in your schedule, and you've got to be self-disciplined enough to make sure that you're going to those practices and just getting a little bit better every single day. I mean, that's the main thing, really, is just finding it in yourself to want to be good, and find time in the day to train once, sometimes twice, sometimes, in fight camp, sometimes I train 3 times a day. I'll go for a run in the morning and get 2 workouts in a day. And there's no one telling me I got to do that. I just know that it's what I have to do to be the best version of myself. So I've learned that. And another thing that I've really taken away is MMA is so complex, and it's so, there's so many moving parts to MMA, and nobody's really mastered mixed martial arts yet, because it is what it is. It's mixed martial arts. There's a million different arts that you have to take into account, whether that's jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, karate, whatever it is. But it's so complex, and there's so many different things that you, at the end of the day, need to be good at. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially starting out in my first year or two. I try to learn so many different things at once, and I would be flooded with information, and at the end of the day, I'd learn nothing. So I think now my approach to practice every day is just try to learn one thing, and then take that back, go home. Maybe I might watch a video on something, or I might, before I go to bed, just think about what we learned in practice that day and what it was that I took away. And I think over the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've been really doing that. And I've gotten leaps and bounds better over the last couple months than I did my first 2 or 3 years, because I kind of changed my approach to training a little bit, if that makes sense.
It does. I think one of the things I always try on this show is interviewing fighters on some of the things that some people that just watch MMA or UFC level don't quite understand, that It is a new sport. It's still 25 years. And you could say this about football. Football's been around for 100 years, baseball 120 years, and still people have to find what works for them. But obviously, as you pointed out, there seems to be some waves in MMA. You know, wrestling is always going to be a big part of MMA, but just when wrestling seems like that's going to be the dominant, then the knockout artists come along, then it swings back to wrestling. Then you had Ronda Rousey come in on the female side to really show what judo can do, and now you're seeing the combat samba stuff from the Russian influence. You know, so it's always interesting. And I think there is a mindset that you're pointing out as far as wanting to learn what works for you and keeping it simple. As far as shifting gears and looking at the fight, what's your mindset or prediction? And obviously, don't give away anything if it's important. You can always tell us after the fight. But kind of what's it like coming into this fight, having 3 experiences, having a new mindset in the last 3 or 4 months of really focusing on mastery of something as opposed to just a bunch of little stuff?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit different this time around because of, you know, the COVID precautions and all that stuff.
Sure.
And these fights just kind of popped up last minute almost. And good thing I've been training, you know, hard for the last 4, 5, 6 months. So I really haven't taken any time off. So I wouldn't really consider it a short fight camp. If anything, was pretty long. I just didn't know an opponent or whatever. Credit to David for taking the fight because I had, you know, 4 opponents before they finally found one. But I mean, I'm just going to go out there and put on a show. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to smile while I'm doing it because I love it. And I mean, I don't really have a prediction. I know I'm going to go out there and get the win, but I'm going to go out and have fun. I know he's a tough kid. I know it's definitely not going to be an easy fight. It'll be my toughest fight yet, but I didn't get in this sport to, you know, for walkthroughs, you know what I mean? For easy wins. I wanted to challenge myself, and I'm really, really looking forward to it, man.
Well, that's the mindset of a competitor at your level. And also, I think at the next level, you mentioned pro. That'll be something we can talk about down the road. I look forward to having you on the show many more times over your career to kind of see how things go. But yeah, I think MMA really is, and so are some other sports, but MMA really is about challenging yourself. You're not in MMA if you think you just want to find an easy way to be successful. So who are your thank yous, whether it's coaches or sponsors? You've already mentioned your parents, people that you want to thank, because one of the things about MMA that can be a little deceitful, almost not really deceitful, but problematic, is fans only see one person fighting. And so we think, oh, Conor McGregor is doing that by himself, or somebody's doing that by himself. And sometimes that leads to attitude issues or problems. So who's in your camp? You mentioned the Mat Factory. Are you still training there? If not, what's your main gym? Who are your main training partners or coaches? And who are your main thank yous?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for days as far as thank yous, man. You know, first and foremost, obviously, my coaches, you know, Coach Brian, Coach Isaac, Don Mazzata, Dempsey, all the guys out at the Mat Factory. I mean, they push me every single day, and it's hard to find that in yourself. You know, you can't. It's really hard to, you know, go to practice and say, you know, I want to put myself through a 5-minute round Shark Tank, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it in dig deep in me to make sure that I'm getting the best out of my workout today. You know, you got to have guys on your ass a little bit, and they're the best of the best. They're the best around. Isaac's, you know, he is one of the, you know, most brilliant guys, one of the nicest guys in the world. So obviously to my coaches, my family, my friends, all my supporters. I mean, I don't know if you've been to any of my fights, but I have 200, 300, 400 people come out to my fights and show love and support, friends, family. So and I love putting on a show for those guys. So obviously a big thank you to them. And a big thank you to my my main partner, Dalton Rasta. You probably know Dalton, but he keeps my head on straight. He makes sure he holds me accountable, and I'm going to practice, and, you know, I'm not going out on the weekends during fight camp and all. Obviously, thank you to the Lord for, you know, blessing me with all the, you know,
attributes and talents that I have, and, you know, keeping me pushing forward and waking up to see another day. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to be in a business like this and be healthy and, you know, be able to put on a show for everybody who's watching.
Absolutely. Well, those are a lot of thank yous. Obviously, the faith is the most important thank you. You can never do anything without being grounded. So that's great. You also mentioned, you know, you're a real estate agent. So balancing those roles are obviously big and important for you. If anybody's still looking for tickets, 247fighting.com is where you get them. And obviously, you said you're used to having a bunch of fans. I don't think I've ever seen you fight live. I will be cage side doing the announcing, so I'm excited to be able to not only watch it but call you in fighting. And so I'll make sure I keep my eyes open. I can't wait to see you in action. But you're fighting November 25th. I've been asking everybody this. Would you have been a little bit more upset if they made you fight after Thanksgiving, as far as having to cut during Thanksgiving? Obviously, you're fighting the night before Thanksgiving, so you'll be good to eat on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. I was so happy they put me on the 25th. I didn't even know there was 2 cards. I was like, because one of my boys was like, yeah, man, they got me fighting after Thanksgiving. And I was like, no, dude, it's before Thanksgiving. What are you talking about? And then I found out then that there was 2 cards, and I'm like, wow, like they hooked me up. Like they got me getting out of the way. I'll be able to go to the fight Saturday, enjoy them, eat Thanksgiving dinner, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so to you guys, thank you. I really appreciate you. I don't know if there's anything that I did that put me on, or put you guys on your good side, but whatever it was, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you want to keep that good side rolling. I was talking to Ethan Goss, one of the pros that's going to be fighting on Saturday.
I train with Ethan.
Yeah, he was very unhappy having to cut weight and fight on Saturday. The only guy that doesn't care is I was interviewing a heavyweight. Of course, they don't care about weight most of the time, so he was fine. He's planning on eating a full Thanksgiving dinner 2 or 3 times and then fighting on Saturday. But it's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for taking time out. Obviously, you've been driving during the show, and clearly you're a very self-motivated and disciplined guy to be able to string together your work and your training. So thanks so much for coming on the show. Can't wait to see you in action November 25th. Brawl in the Berg 4 for 247 Fighting Championships.
That's right, man. I really appreciate it, dude. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm super pumped. Look forward to meeting you. And if anybody out there needs to buy or sell a house, you know who to call.
Yeah, that's incredible. The Prince of Pittsburgh. You've been hearing him here on MMA Fancast. We will see him live in action on November 25th. Thanks so much for coming on, Cole. Talk to you later, my man.
I appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
You got it. You too. All right. Bye-bye.